Quick Trip has you covered.
9 to noon, ready to go. Kuhn is in, joining Armin. Butchie's been practicing with us this morning. Josh here as well. So, Kuhn, I'm going to ask you directly. You are part of the greater running backs guild in the NFL, former running back, but you're part of the fullback subdivision. Do you have any strong opinions on yesterday's teeth gnashing over the bad treatment these star running backs were getting in terms of contracts? Guys not getting deals at the franchise tag deadline. Saquon, Tony Pollard, Josh Jacobs. Any thoughts on this?
This is the natural evolution that started to take place when we turned the NFL into a 65-35 predominant passing league. This was the
Is that where we're at now?
Yeah, this is the natural evolution. Now, I mean, some teams go, oh, yeah, we're 50-50. Well, yeah, if you're counting all the third and ones and the first and goals from the ones and stuff like that. Regular down and distance, the Packers are one of the closer teams to 50-50, and still they are high 50%. Like they're close to 60% now. So, yeah, it's – when you do this, even though running backs still touch the ball more than any other position, even though that happens, when you devalue the run game, this is naturally going to happen. It's what happened, with fullbacks, and it's going to, take it. It won't. I mean, the running back position is not going to go away. It's not going to go away, but it's definitely been devalued a massive amount.
Is it that there's not another LaDainian Tomlinson who is so clearly superior as a running back that you can win with him? Touch a Priest Holmes.
There's a huge argument. There's a huge.
Who are some of the other backs and Adrian Peterson? Hey, just give it to him 25 times a game, and good stuff's going to happen back.
See, Saquon. Here's the deal with Saquon. He's had this pyramid or a valley of a career so far in 5 years. He went 16 games, 13 games, 2 games, 13 games, 16 games, right? So he's only played 16 games twice. He did it in his first year. He was unbelievable. He's done it in his last year. He's pretty damn good last year. So you're looking at that 5 years and you're saying, man, you had that 1 year with the terrible injuries. You only hit 2 games. They fear for that. The running back position, again, it touches the ball so much more. It's like, do you want to pay sports car prices for a car that's going to, carry you 40? Maybe not. Maybe you just want that Honda Accord to get the job done so that, you can spend your money elsewhere. Let's go. You can spend your money elsewhere and not worry about breaking that car down.
Ding, ding, ding.
Josh, but here's the other thing. Here's the other thing, though. Like they can go and draft guys like Atlanta. They draft Robinson, the running back, run him on the cheap. And then are you going to pay him?
Right.
Like, even if he's healthy, even if these guys do stay healthy, do you want to make that investment? I mean, Eckler from the Chargers, right? Like, he's proven really good running back. They're just not going to pay him.
Now, what was Austin Eckler drafted? See, to one notion, I agree with you, Butchie. If you're going to draft a running back in the first round, that running back's going to end up making out okay. He's going to get the 5-year contract. He's going to get the big signing bonus. He's going to do okay. You talk about a guy like Aaron Jones, who has to give back money. Aaron Jones was a 6th-round draft pick. Aaron Jones didn't make diddly squat in terms of football players. Okay, I get we got a lot of listeners out there. They're going to be like, what do you mean he didn't make diddly? In terms of football players and value and what he was doing, he was massively underpaid his first 4 years. And then, he got his extension, as we know, what was it, last year or 2 years ago? It was 2 years ago when the Jamal Williams or Aaron Jones debate came up. Aaron Jones got paid, and, he had to give money back here. And
gave a lot back.
In the third year of that contract already, he's got to give money back. And he had his best season as a running back last year.
And Eckler was an undrafted free agent. He wasn't even drafted his first year. So think about the money that now he's trying to get paid because he took how many years to prove what his
production has been absolutely insane.
Okay, but so you're telling me like the guys like McCaffrey, like these weapons that can be used all these different ways, they're looped into this. They're all grouped into one under the running back title.
The reason this has gotten to a viral status right now with the running back position is because a running back like Saquon Barkley will not reach his second contract until potentially guaranteed he's going to play 6 years. So year 7, potentially after year 7, because he could be franchised again. Like, what are we talking about here? You're saying running backs are dead after 7 years. You're telling this guy he can't hit free agency and market himself one time before he's already considered dead by the league that has de-emphasized running backs? I listen, I don't know what the right answer is here, because this is just one of those consequences that comes out from all the rule changes, the high-flying NFL, the more points and things to that nature. So I don't know if there is an answer to this. But you got to admit, what's happened to Saquon Barkley feels like it's criminal, although, I mean, he's still going to make $10 million this year.
I mean, yeah, let's be honest.
And Kuhn, he turned down at least 2 or 3 attempted offers by the Giants. Giant beat writers have been pointing this out on Twitter. And he changed agents in the middle of this past year, which maybe was justified, but I'm not sure if that's a smart move. You know, you got to have an agent who's navigating. We're going for this number. Here's how we're going to get there. And here's the timing of it on the NFL calendar. So I'm not trying to victim blame here, but, you know, Saquon had his chances. Here's a larger, you said, what's the solution?
Well, you said he had his chances. He'd never had his chance to be an actual free agent.
Agreed. And so here's the only solution. I said this during the lockout before they got the 10-year deal and then they extended it. I said, hey, Union, you need to go after the franchise tag and all the other tags and kill them with fire. You need to treat them like a vampire. You need to go kill the franchise tag forever.
But see, and that's not necessarily true, Zabe.
Well, here's why. Here's why I believe this, and other smart guys like Andrew Brandt are now saying this. The thinking from the union is, well, only a handful of guys get it every year, so let's not worry about that. But the point is, it can be applied to anyone, so it really affects everyone. You can't just walk out the door. The only way to get your value is to be hot and to be able to walk out the door. And if you're a running back, you have to add to that. You got to be hot, be able to walk out the door earlier than 5 or 6 years.
Right, because you'll always never be at your peak again.
But Steve,
so these minimum contract lengths, you should be free as a rookie to say, I don't want a 4 or 5 year deal. Give me a 2-year deal. I'll take my chances.
To bet on yourself and then move on. I get that.
That's
I mean, they have that.
But didn't we see that with Ricky Williams, Abe, a little bit? When Ricky took that crazy deal?
Well, remember what Ditka traded to get him, too.
Yeah, well, so what? And I don't know what the length of. I think they still had minimum lengths of deals back then.
It
but
might have
he
been.
had a rapper for an agent in Master P who didn't understand the NFL and steered him into a terrible contract.
But the agent, but the league, the culture, everything's changed. No. I agree.
Yeah, there you go.
Everything.
Okay. I was wondering if anybody caught that.
Everything changed. I mean, one time wasn't Dickerson the original $1 million running back? Like once upon a time, Eric Dickerson was like played higher than any. I mean, that was the way the market worked back then for running backs. That's just the way.
I would love to, Kuhn, make running great again in the NFL.
Running is great.
Good luck.
Running is great.
I've been dying on that hill, and I am dying. It's a slow death. I am dying on that.
Good run.
I'm still waiting for an answer to the McCaffrey being the exception. Why is it that players that can be used in these little 3-yard, 4-yard passes, and also in the backfield that have great hands like McCaffrey, why can't they be the exception?
What is McCaffrey's deal? I don't think it's soft. I don't think it's weak.
But it was signed before this came into play. I mean, it was signed with Carolina.
He didn't. Yeah, he never got franchised. This is a whole different ballgame.
They took care of him. So wait, Josh, your question is what?
Well, that because you're saying
paid big money. You're like, why can't a McCaffrey get paid big money?
Because you talked about Eckler. You brought up Eckler too, and I'm like, okay, but there are running backs that are multidimensional that can be all over the field and be used in all these different ways.
I think this is just my answer to this, and we'll see what you guys think. I think it's because they feel like those guys can be had anywhere, that the passing game in the NFL allows for dinks and dunks into space. So your average 4th, 5th round guy, your Jerick McKinnon's, right?
Alexander
Madison. There are plenty of running backs that don't have hands.
Champion. That they're cheaper and they're don't put a lot of money into your running back. That the days of the show pony superstar running back are over. It's not efficient.
Unless we get back to bell cow running backs.
Haven't we seen this recently? Aren't there some tight ends that are trying to get paid like wide receivers? Aren't we trying to see the transition?
Graham wanted that.
Graham
right?
insisted on that
Yeah.
with the Saints and lost, right?
And
Got
lost.
his
We've had
arbitration.
players that have tried to break the trend here, but it's not working. And that's the thing. Like Josh, I know you're trying to get at a little bit there with McCaffrey. Like, hey, should he be paid as a wide receiver because he's catching it more than he's like? There's going to be running backs that are going to try to play this card. Like, no, I'm more of a wide receiver.
I can do it all. I can do both.
Right, like I get it, but they're not going to win. No one's won in the
I also
NFL
think-
playing that role.
I also think running backs break more now, Coon,
That's it.
than they
That's
used
it.
to break.
They're injured more now.
I mean, I don't remember. I remember playing fantasy, and you're
I
like,
think
well,
every
I'm in this-
position is injured just the
Breaks
same
more?
amount,
I
if
agree.
not more.
Yeah.
Breaks the same. Breaks at least the same, if not more.
well,
I mean, you got little
Okay,
breaks. You got flat tires now all the time in the NFL. And hey, I'm
soft
gonna,
tissue injuries.
not
well,
quarterbacks.
I was
Load
watching.
management. Watch out.
I saw these incredible pictures of the Packers playing the Colts in what was it, the 57 NFL championship game or something like that. And
67.
they colored them. No, I think it was before.
Colorized?
It was before
Oh,
Super
was
Bowl
it?
one.
Okay,
it was before
okay.
Super Bowl one.
Okay.
They colored in these black and white pictures and they were amazing. But you know what they were playing on? A mud pit. They were literally playing on mud. The hunks of mud that were just laying around this entire field. And you wonder, well, how did these
So
guys
what
get
does
hurt?
that mean?
Well, they were landing because the game now
So they
it's
were
played
landing on a softer surface, or they
it's-
weren't cutting as hard because it
and they're
was
not
slippery.
running as hard. Yeah, it's bigger men bumping into each other every single play, but they're bumping into each other from like 4 or 5 yards apart, not 30
And they're bumping
miles an
into each
hour.
other slower because it's a
Yes.
slower track. And force
Yes.
equals mass times what? Acceleration,
Acceleration.
which is
Yeah.
speed, and that causes damage
Oh,
to
thanks,
tissues and
Bill
bones and
Nye.
everything else. I remember playing fantasy, boys.
The
What's
science
that?
guy.
I said, thanks,
You
Bill
science
Nye.
guy. I remember playing fantasy where you're like, I'm in a league, but I don't know. I didn't get the first pick, and this guy is LaDainian Tomlinson, so I don't really have
You're
much
gonna lose.
chance. Like I remember those days. Don't you guys remember those days?
Oh, yeah.
Or
If
you
didn't
drafted
have
two
LT,
running backs right
AP.
away and didn't worry about it. Go running back, pick one,
Yeah.
pick two
I
right
mean,
away.
Derrick
Larry
Henry-
Johnson.
Derrick Henry did that to
Larry
a little extent
Johnson,
just a
exactly.
few years ago. I mean, it can still, running backs can still have a great amount of success in this. And you talk about Christian McCaffrey. He's
He's
going
the
to make
one.
12. He's going to make 12 million a year. The next 3 years. He's not hurting, but you superimpose that on the best wide receivers in the game, and it's not even close. So I ask you, do you want a receiver who you believe is going to play, for 8, 10, 12 years at a high level?
Yes.
Or do you want to, because running backs, there's not a person in the world believes a running back's going to play. Frank Gores are no longer being created.
Mm-hmm.
And there's more
Right.
to it. I mean, they believe that the great wide receivers are more valuable than the great running backs because of their ability to break off big plays.
It's
Which is-
not that they're more valuable. It's that they won't break, Armin. That's the
Well,
only
I
thing.
think it's a combination
Well,
of
that
both.
makes
We
them
can
more
argue the
valuable.
next hour about
I
it, though.
do think it is a combination of both.
expected win percentage or whatever nerd number they come up with for the positions that that are there. But
Isaiah Pacheco was a 7th rounder when the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, not Clyde Edwards-Helaire, which is their 1st rounder.
Who was the
It's-
Packers running
I-
back when they won the Super Bowl?
Oh,
James Starks,
Starks.
Starks.
It was
Thank you.
I know, but
Well,
who
that was
barely
because
even on the roster to start.
Ryan
the year,
Grant
right?
got injured first game of the season.
he was
And
another
where was
Listen,
Ryan Grant drafted?
Listen,
Scrappy.
yes, he was scrappy, but he
Yep.
got his big contract before that year. He got his big contract before 2009.
But it just proves you can win with those. Like you brought up a 7th rounder, Armin, right? James
But they-
Starks was an undrafted free agent from Buffalo. Like,
Well,
You got a quarterback in
Maybe-
Aaron Rodgers. You got a quarterback in Patrick Mahomes.
but that's fine. But
It-
that's
it's a
why.
little
But
different.
but
Now-
that's why running backs aren't getting paid.
now here's
But
the
we're
ultimate
talking
question.
about a running back that has a Daniel Jones as the quarterback. So Daniel Jones isn't going
Sure.
to get paid like an Aaron Rodgers or a Patrick Mahomes. So where's that money going for? It should naturally go to your best player, and their best player is Saquon. We're in agreement here. We're in agreement
Okay,
here, but not
here's-
necessarily
Here's
how
the
it
next
happens.
part of the question. What if Saquon Barkley signs? He's going to have to play under his tender, 10.1 million. Boohoo, tears of pain and anguish. Okay, fine. What if Saquon Barkley is just very picky this year about when he's available?
Unfortunately,
And he
he
says,
should. Unfortunately, he should, because that's the only leverage the players have to get rid of a franchise tag.
right.
The union will never get rid of the franchise tag because it's a negotiation, and they're going to have to give
Right.
something back to the owners. And
Mhm.
why would you give something back to the owners when when you say this affects every player because it could be applied to every player? But that's not true. It can only be applied to 32 guys out of 2,000 in any given year. That's a very small percentage, and the NFL is not going to make a
No, but it
concession
could be
for that.
applied to anybody who pops up as a guy who you don't want to leave.
But
The
again,
potential
it's
is
only
for
gonna
every
be
single
30
player.
but it's only going to be.
But nobody's going
32
to
guys
apply
in
it to
given
a
year.
guard or a tackle or a safety. Like that's never happened. But the star players,
Oh,
it
it's
is
happened.
always
Oh,
a
it's
threat.
happened to a guard.
Those impact winning sometimes
Really?
more than running
Yeah.
backs, though.
Who was the guard? Logan Mankins. He sat out 8 weeks with the Patriots because he was on a franchise tag. Came back
Get
week
outta
8
here.
just to be a free agent the next year. Went to the Buccaneers.
What are we
Okay.
learning in blindside?
So here's
I mean,
here's a question I have, Kuhn. Can a player literally just say, "I don't feel good enough to play today," and they have to take him at his word and they have to pay him?
David
Yeah.
Bakhtiari did against Washington this year.
So that's a yes.
Oh, it's an absolute yes.
So the team cannot overrule you and go, "No, you're fine. Get out there."
And that's
Otherwise,
what
we're going to dock you pay.
that's what the bummer is. They can't dock and pay. This is a fully guaranteed contract. They can't dock and pay, and that's the only way
Right.
the players get rid of it. And that's what's a shame is
Well, then
because great players
Saquon
are gonna have
Barkley
to,
should load manage like a mofo,
yeah.
and
And
if
I don't
people
like
bitch
that.
about it. Yeah.
But it's what
it
has
hurts
to
the
be done.
fans. It hurts
It's
the
what-
fans.
It hurts the fans. It hurts
It
the
hurts the
product.
fans.
It hurts
Hey,
the
he's not
team.
on my
I bet-
team.
I bet the
So-
peer pressure's got to be pretty high in that locker room,
You
right?
know-
If you know a guy's
yeah, but you know what? If the peer pressure was so high and he was so important to winning and they needed him so bad for the team, then why doesn't Daniel Jones break off 3% of his deal? That would match Saquon's. It doesn't
Not
happen. I get it,
communism.
but
Armin.
you can only say so much about like, oh, well, we need you and this and that, and don't be. I mean, Jordan was calling Pippen selfish, and Jordan made how much more? It just, I don't know. It comes a little shallow if Daniel Jones were to say that to Saquon. Because if you agree Saquon's more talented, which I do, but the market bears out that the position's more important, then okay, Daniel Jones, if I'm that important to you for winning and winning's important to your legacy, why don't you slide me $3 million then? Because you're making $40 million this year as an
In the end,
average.
people aren't ever going to do it. They're going to take care of themselves
And
first.
that's fine. That's the reality
it's
of it.
wrong.
I understand that.
It's wrong.
I'm
I
not
think there's
asking-
some become with a team
That
player.
applies to more. That applies to life.
Right,
That's-
but my point is, I'm not
It's not
saying
just football.
I'm not saying
Oh,
someone
right on.
should take money out of their pocket just because someone else. That's just the way it is. You don't have the obligation to do that. But my point is, if it was that really important to winning, they would. But it's not. It's not. They can get another running back.
quiet quitting is going to come to the NFL. You know, that trend they talked about at workplaces, quiet quitting. You're not
Yeah.
actually quitting.
quit.
You're just doing nothing.
I quit.
Should have taken a deal when he had the chance, though. I'm not sitting there blaming Saquon. But
Probably should
Deal or
have.
no deal.
when you're a
Probably
running
should have.
back, you got to know the room. I mean, you got to know the situation.
And better yet, when you're a running back in high school and college, get out of that position. Be a linebacker.
Oh,
be
I
a
blame the
wideout, be
parents.
anything.
I blame the parents. Don't tell your kids to be a running back anymore.
See, that slander only adds to the fire that is the running back
That's
position right
slander.
now. You're
It ain't
you're
slander.
devaluing the
It's good
position
life
too.
advice.
You, Steve Zabin, are a part of the problem.
Oh, no,
Well, I
not
could have
problem.
told you that.
For
It's not a
speaking the
problem.
truth.
Why can't I say
How about
make
this?
punter? Why can't I say make punters great again? Why is it a problem? It's just the
No,
reality
you
of the
want your
position.
kid.
I can't
you
wait
want
for the
your
next
kid to-
hour.
You want your kid to be a loogie, a left-handed one-out guy.
Yeah.
Those dudes
Oh,
make the
my.
most money for the least amount of work. Loogies, in
Except the
baseball.
rules
Teach 'em
changed that. Yeah, but yeah, you're
Yeah,
right.
right.
Yeah.
The Ray Kings of the
That's
world.
true.
The Shouse. Remember Shouse?
Oh, shouts it all out.
Shouse, let it all out. Remember that was the greatest.
Oh, love that.
All right,
Shouts.
Shag, you're in.
Shouts.
Let it-
9 to noon is next. Boys, great run this morning. Thanks as always. Have a great Tuesday, and we will see you tomorrow.